There we go. Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Thank you for joining me again. This is Speaking with Ajani, Bakari. Excuse me here. Uh, hello. How y'all doing? What's good? What's going on? Peace and blessings. Thank you again for joining me this weekend. This weekend. For joining me today. It's another great week. It's another Monday night. Thank you again for joining. This is Speaking with Ajani Bakari talk show. I'm your host, Ajani Bakari. Tonight's another great episode. I don't have a YouTube topic for you guys today, but today I do have three great topics again to bring up, like I always do on my show. So today's topics, we're going to talk about Disney and hot water with the state of Florida, as they've gotten their self-governing rights stripped from them by the Florida legislation, which we'll discuss. I'll break it down for you guys so you can understand that a little bit more. Also, we're going to discuss the NBA playoffs. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all my review for what's going on in the NBA playoffs right now and my picks. As Miami Heat plays tonight, they should be actually going the tip-off here very shortly. So I won't be doing this show for too long because I want to watch my boys play. Also, we're going to discuss white people bathing. It seems to be a very funny topic on the internet, and there's a couple of viral videos of white folks explaining how they bathe themselves and how many times they bathe themselves. And there's some shocking revelation that some folks don't take showers on a daily basis or don't even fully bathe when they actually do shower. So, and it seems to be a lot of white folks saying this over the internet. And, black folks, we can't help but make fun of people. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the history of bathing and water in general when it comes to Europeans and white people. So thank you again for joining me. I got a little starting the show as, life calls, but I'm here for you every Monday night. I like to bless y'all with all the information that I can provide, and also my talents and my good humor. So we're going to get started on the show shortly. Obviously, I go on my Facebook and IG. I got to get all those things set up, but we'll go ahead and do that shortly. So appreciate you again for your patience and all your love and blessings and support. You could also catch me on Blues Chippers podcast, where I co-host the show for basketball conversations and discussions. It's called the GOAT James Kingdom. And we go on every Sunday live on Facebook. And we stream from a platform called StreamYards. So you can also check me out there. You can subscribe to my channel, subscribe to that channel, subscribe to also the GOAT James channel. It's called GOAT James Kingdom. Those are the platforms where you can find me speaking on these different topics. So we got Sundays and Mondays. That's the new thing for me. That's the new routine. So y'all can go ahead, subscribe, like, share, comment, let everybody know about the show, whether you like basketball talk or if you just want to talk with me here on Ajani Bakari talk show, Speaking with Ajani Bakari talk show. So I'm going to go ahead and try to set up my IG accounts. And my Facebook. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday night. It's always a beautiful time to start off the week with my show. Hopefully your day is blessed and beautiful and going well, and the start of your week is going well. And if not, hopefully I can make your day a better day for you. All right, so I'm getting that set up. So again, if you'd like to follow me on my Facebook page, that's Ajani Bakari on Facebook. This is where the show most of the show topics and material come from is with my Facebook discussions and conversations with my Facebook followers and folks that I follow. Also, you can follow the show's page on IG, Instagram, which is speaking underscore with underscore Ajani underscore Bakari. That's the IG platform where you can find all the live shows because I go live on IG, as you can see. So you can catch the shows there, and you can also catch clips of the shows that are basically on YouTube's live. So you could have me on those different platforms. So as you come on to check me out, whether it's on YouTube, IG, or Facebook, you can definitely reach out and speak to me. If you want to talk about topics, come on the show. I am open for anyone in any discussion. We can definitely have a debate if that's what people want to have with me, or if you just want to have a discussion. But as long as you're interested in discussing some things, I'm also interested. I'm interested in learning just as much as I'm interested in telling folks the information that I know. So you could always reach out to me in all these different platforms. As I'm trying to set up my Facebook now. And back to the same shit with Facebook. Facebook just don't let you go live no more. You got to actually go to your profile, and then it lets you go live. It used to have a press live right there. Post something, go live. It's not like that no more. IG don't play that. All right. Got to turn on my light. I wonder why things was a little bit dark. So, all right. Well, so as y'all can see, all right. So I'm ready to go for my Facebook. I'm ready for my IG. All right. Thank you so much, folks. You know, normally I would like to have a topic for my YouTube followers and for folks that come on my YouTube channel to watch the live. But today I wasn't able. Actually, this week, I have been swamped trying to do so much. It's just been a lot going on for me this past couple of weeks. I have a son that just turned 15. Actually, today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Kiko man. So I was planning his birthday. He had a little get together for his birthday with his friends. Just a lot going on, especially with this other talk show that I'm on. Like I spoke about it last time on the show. It's a lot of people that are engaging me when it comes to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. So I've been kind of swamped. So I haven't really been up on on any recent news or anything going on as far as the news go. Gas prices are still high. But for me it's routine life. Work, home, family, my extracurricular activities and stuff of that nature. But nothing going on in news I can say that's big news. I mean, Russia is still, I guess, bombing Ukraine, and they're still in a war. Inflation is still going up. It hasn't stopped. Another record for inflation. Kevin Samuels told women, if you ain't married by 35, you're leftovers. I kind of wish I could talk on some of those talk shows with some of those people, because it's starting to get a little bit ridiculous, and that's why I don't like to talk too much about relationship talks, because you can't talk about that all over and over again without really talking about some ridiculous topics. I've seen some ridiculous topics on these so-called dating talk shows and these dating, these relationship gurus and advices. Like I said, if you're not getting advice from somebody who's been in it, who's married, who's in it, anybody else's advice is really just one perspective. It's not really the perspective. But that went viral. I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't touch on it. I didn't want to deal with it because I thought it was a stupid comment. As I stated before, and everybody knows this, even Kevin Samuels, which is why I don't understand. Men are dictators of marriage. So if a woman's not married by 35, it has nothing really to do with her. It's kind of the male. in her, in her circles, the guys that she's around. But who knows? But let's go ahead and get on to my Facebook and IG. Let's see if we can go live. All right, I'm live on my Facebook. And I'm physically live on my IG. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome to Speaking with Ajani Bakari Talk Show. I'm your host, Ajani Bakari. This is another great episode. I come on live every Monday night on my YouTube. I'm also live on IG. Peace and love to all my IG folks. And I'm also live on Facebook. So tonight's topics, as we always tackle 3 topics every Monday night, I try to find some good stuff to talk about this week. We're going to talk about Disney and hot water with the state of Florida. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs and, review the playoffs as far as how's it going. And let's talk about my Miami Heat and, how our chances to win the finals. And then we're going to discuss white people bathing and the history of water and Europeans. I like to talk about a lot of things, and I thought that was a good topic because there was a couple of videos that went viral this week about bathing, and it seems to be white folks are not ashamed to talk about whether they bathe or not or how they bathe. So those are 3 topics. Again, we're going to talk about Disney and hot water, and we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, the Miami Heat, let's go Heat, and then we're going to talk about, do white people bathe and the history of Europeans when it comes to water and bathing. Thank you for joining me again. This is another beautiful, beautiful Monday night. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday evening. Your Monday was also another great day for you. You got a lot of things done. You were productive. You got a chance to relax if you wanted to relax. If not, thank you for joining me because we definitely going to have some fun. Oh, it's good. Tata. It's good seeing you. Thank you. So if you get a chance, like I stated before, for anybody who wants to follow me, I'm on Facebook as Ajani Bakari. I'm also on IG for the talk show, which is speaking _with _Ajani Bakari. That's where you can find the show material. You can find me talking about all kind of crazy stuff on my Facebook. But you could also jump on my YouTube channel because that's where you get the full, access to everything that I do on my show, the best quality of my show. So you can go on my YouTube channel, which is Ajani Bakari on YouTube. You can also follow me on the Blues Chippers podcast on YouTube and also on Goat James Kingdom on YouTube, where you can find me speaking about basketball and LeBron James being the GOAT of basketball. So those are all my platforms. This is what I do for y'all. Hopefully I can keep y'all entertained, informed, because it's about edutainment, as I stated before. So we're going to get the show started shortly. We'll let a couple of more folks jump in, and we'll definitely get it started for sure. It was good, Ed. The Heat, baby. Let's go Heat. It starts tonight. That's right. It starts tonight. Talk about it. So let's remember tonight's topics. We're going to talk about Disney and hot water. For those who don't know, Disney is about to be stripped of their self-governing rights and their tax exemption for the state of Florida, which is something they've always had since they've been in Florida. It's big news down here in Florida. We also going to talk about the NBA playoffs. So we're going to talk about the Miami Heat. We're going to talk about the Bucks and Giannis. We're going to talk about Golden State and Stephen Curry, Boston, all of that. And then we're going to talk about whether or not if white folks really bathe and what's the history of bathing when it comes to Europeans and in history. So I'm glad y'all joined me again. Like I said, I look forward to doing this show. If y'all got any insight, please don't be afraid to comment and let me know what you think. Let me try to promote the show right quick. Ooh. All right, y'all. So we go ahead and get right to the show. All right. Thank you again for joining me. I'm your host, Ajani Bakari. This is Speaking with Ajani Bakari talk show. Tonight's topic, we're going to jump right into it. We have Disney in hot water with the state of Florida. The state of Florida legislator just passed an edict, I guess, or a some kind of lien or basically a statement to the Disney corporation about Disney World that they are no longer allowed to self-govern and have the tax exemption. So that what does that mean? Well, basically, Disney World sits on 27,000 acres in Central Florida. And when they purchased the land, they purchased the property, they built a good relationship with the state of Florida to where they don't pay taxes because they're going to have basically their own, police department and fire department, and they're going to run their own utilities and their own, sewage lines. And basically, Disney World is like the Vatican in Rome, but but Disney World in Florida, they are their own governing state or their own governing entity. The state of Florida has no anything, like no rights to anything when it comes to those lands that they own, those 27 acres. So because of that, they get tax exemption, so they don't have to worry about paying taxes, which basically saves Disney $900 million, almost $1 trillion a year. I mean, sorry, $1 billion a year on taxes because of that. So Disney's been able to live like that since the inception. Disney came into Florida in the mid 60s, and Disney World opened in 1971. So it's been 50 years now, and they've have a very good relationship with the state of Florida. But what happened is that DeSantis is upset with Disney World because Disney World did not support the new bill that was passed called the Parenting Act Rights. The Parenting Rights Act bill, which people are calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. And what happened was, in their shareholders meeting earlier this year, the Disney CEO came out and talked against the bill and talked against DeSantis. So the Florida state legislation feel that Disney is not following state rules and state laws, so they want to strip them of this self-governing, tax exemption policy that the Disney has. The problem with this is that it's going to cost both. To be honest with you, that $900 million a year bill is going to have to be foot by somebody. And, if Disney's not paying it, who's going to pay it? Disney and Florida has had a long-standing relationship with one another, especially in politics. Disney has, Disney's one of the biggest companies in the world. They own ABC, ESPN. They own countless corporations. Disney is big time. So they've been able to fund and donate and support many legislators and politicians in Florida. So they've always had a great relationship, but this is causing a problem. And because Disney World is sitting on 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, countless resorts. They have their own community. I mean, that's what it was. If anybody been to Disney World would know, it's literally like another place. You're not in like the United States. It's a different entity itself. So Disney is in hot water because they live off of that. They live off the idea that they can function and run their cities and their town. They have towns, neighborhoods. I mean, the people that work in Disney World live in Disney World. They have dormitories for those actors that are part of their shows and all of that stuff. So Disney is it's a big, big, big thing. So it brought attraction to Florida. So it's gonna hurt. Some experts say that this bill is not really gonna take effect, and as far as stripping Disney of their self-governing rights, it's just a way for DeSantis to flex his muscle, or the state of Florida to flex their muscle about their bill, because they're serious about the idea of not introducing sexual identity or preference orientation to children. And Disney World is known for being pro LGBTQ, and they've actually took the extra step in the last recent years to really show support. Anybody who knows Disney World knows they've always supported the LGBT community, but they're doing it a little bit more now, more in the open. And I think DeSantis wants them to kind of chill back on that, and obviously not only just chill back on that, but also accept the state laws that state that entities like schools and libraries and things that deal with children do not mention these type of words. It's the same thing with the critical race theory. They don't want to talk about race. They don't want to talk about sexuality. So that's the bill that the state of Florida passed. And now Disney World is in hot water. They haven't really made any statements about this particular bill, but it's definitely a big deal because this bill takes effect for them in 2023, which is next year. And once it kicks in, Disney's gonna have to, pay taxes for all the stuff that goes on and all those, great things that we see in Disney World, are going to be expensive to keep, there. The state of Texas told Disney if they have any trouble, they can come to Texas. So, it's definitely a big thing. They're going to move to California, you heard. Well, I heard Texas, is a big thing. I mean, they could move to Cali. Cali is definitely pro, LBGTQ. But, Disney World is, like I said, they sit on 27,000 acres in Florida. They have built so much in the last 50 years. It's going to just hard to just get up and just move like that. Interesting you said that because they tried to lump it. Yeah. Well, you want to teach critical race, allow gender also. Well, they don't want to teach critical race theory. That's the thing. They want to get rid of critical race theory, and they want to get up the idea that you are going to be bringing up sexual orientation or sexual preference to children. I believe it's for children up to the age of third grade too. It's to the third graders. So it's not necessarily all, but they want to keep it from out of the schools, and actually you can sue the school if a parent finds out that they were teaching their child any one of those things without that parent's permission. So again, it's called the Parents' Rights Act, and they want parents to have the right for what their children are being exposed to. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't expect white people to teach my kids about race in the first place. It doesn't benefit white people to teach about race. Why would they do that? And as far as the homosexuality and the sexuality orientation, I agree with that. I don't believe anybody should be talking about sexual orientation to children of any kind. Like I said, that is something for adults. That's something that happens when you have the mature as far as physically and matured mentally. So yeah, it's definitely a thing though. Disney is in hot water. They might want to just figure out a way to I mean, again, both the state of Florida needs Disney and Disney needs the state of Florida. So I don't see Florida just letting Disney World go away like that, nor do I see Disney World just turning it back and leaving four theme parks and 2 water parks behind with all of the construction and all the things that they built. But they're definitely in hot water. These next few months are going to be crucial because Disney World's going to have to play their part. The state is going to do them. We all know. Listen, anybody know from Florida? I know Tallahassee. These rednecks don't play. They say what they say. The lawyers is on it. They feel like they got the law behind them. So let's see what happens. Again, the bill doesn't really take effect till next year. So Disney got some time to really try to figure out what they're going to do and what they do. I say everything goes back to normal. Nothing's going to really change. Disney World will still have their National Gay Week, which they have every June, where you can go to Disney World if you're of the homosexual LGBT community, and they have the whole park and everything set up for gay people. So it's a whole week in June. They do it. I ended up going in June one time without knowing about it. So it's known. So they've, like I said, Disney's always supported that community, but it's just that, DeSantis is serious about this Parent Rights Act. And I think it's a step forward to allowing people to take care of their children the way they want to. So, but we'll see what happens. That's definitely a topic I might bring up later on. So, thanks for that, Tata. I appreciate that. If they go to California though, right, they won't have no trouble because they already got Disneyland, but they don't have, who knows? It's something about the West Coast. I watched something on Disney the other day, and they were saying they picked the East Coast for a reason. There was something about the East Coast that just attracted more people to theme parks. But who knows? Disney, like I said, as big as all companies that you could think about. They own so much. So, and Disney World is the reason why they make a lot of money. Also, beyond all their films and all the other stuff that Disney World is a part of, or Disney's a part of as a company. But let's move on because the playoffs start. The Heat should be actually playing right now. I'm a big time basketball fan. I love basketball. Basketball has definitely gotten great in the last 10, 15 years. The amount of talent that's in the league is great. But as far as the playoffs in 2022, what we have is probably the best parity in NBA history. LeBron James and Kevin Durant are not. Kevin Durant got knocked out in the first round, swept by Boston. LeBron didn't make the playoffs, so a lot of people feel good. It's fresh. Beyond Stephon Curry, it's a bunch of new stars. You have the Heat going up against the Sixers. That's game 1 tonight. Joel Embiid is hurt. He doesn't have a time of coming back because he broke his face. He got elbowed and broke his face. But Joel Embiid is a new star that people are thinking is a MVP candidate and MVP of the league. And then you have Phoenix and Dallas playing later on tonight. So Dallas got Luka Doncic, which is an international star and becoming a big star in the NBA. And then you got Phoenix with Chris Paul and those young dudes that they doing their thing. Game 1 starts tonight. And then, we had the games yesterday. We had the Milwaukee Bucks taking game 1 in Boston. The Boston Celtics surprised everybody by whooping the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie and KD. Not surprising to me, but surprising to most people. And, yesterday's game was really, really good. Giannis showed up. Giannis is emerging as the best player in the NBA. Like I said, before the season started, he's probably been the best player in the NBA the last couple of years, if you really want to give it to him. But I crowned it to him last year for sure. And he's definitely a beast. And he is showing why he is going to be a monster in the NBA for years to come. And then we also had the Golden State and Memphis game, which was a brilliant game last night because Memphis is a team. And I like Memphis. I believe it's going to be Miami and Memphis in the finals. Originally, I had Utah and Miami. But Utah, man, I don't know, man. I can't do it no more, man. I'm done, man. I like Spider, but they're not good, bro. They just don't never just show up when it comes to the playoffs, man. They just never do, man. It's been 3 years now, man, that you would say Utah has a real good chance of showing up and making the Western Conference Finals, or at least making the finals, and they don't do nothing. So yeah, Biscayne in June, baby. That's right. Biscayne in June. Listen, Miami really got a good chance of winning the championship this year. I think the only team that could possibly beat Miami is Milwaukee. But I think Miami can get past Milwaukee. If they don't got Chris Middleton, we definitely can get past Milwaukee because we got the defensive boys to do it. With Bam, Butler, Victor Oladipo coming off the bench, Hero coming off the bench. Lowry got the hamstring issue, so we don't know when Lowry's going to really be 100%. But still, man, with all those juggernauts that we got, and any given night, any one of those guys can give you 25, from Duncan Robinson to Max Strus to Vincent, and then you got Tyler Hero, and then Butler can give it up to you, then Bam doing the defensive things. So I really like my Heat this year, man. Biscayne in June, baby. Let's go. Biscayne in June. Trust me. But the playoffs is good, man. The playoffs is good. Ja Morant yesterday, that's another star. The NBA is going to be in great hands in the next couple of years with Ja Morant. Giannis, Steph and them are still going to be playing for a few more years. If we're talking about Joel Embiid, you're talking about Joker, Jokic Doncic, Jason Tatum, all these teams, Booker, Bridges, and Phoenix. There's a lot of great players, man. The NBA's in great hands, and I've been loving the playoffs. They said the ratings skyrocketed this year from last year and the last couple of years. They said this is actually the highest first-round ratings in the last 10 years. So this is definitely a great playoffs. Tonight, CP3 is going to have to show up because, Dallas looks like they're a serious team. Dallas, man, Mark Cuban knows what he's doing, building a good team. But I got my Heat tonight, especially without Joel Embiid. I feel bad for them. It would have been nice for them to have Joel Embiid so we can really see them at full strength against us. But without Joel Embiid, I don't think they got a chance, even without Butler. Miami is just ready to go. So I got my boys, man. I'm definitely ready to go there. Peace, Ingrid. You know what I'm saying? What's good, Ashley? I listen, Jamie, don't even come with your shit, man. Don't come with your shit. LeBron's not playing, so you ain't got no team in this, right? You ain't got no team in this. You ain't got no team. You're gonna have to go with the Bucks since you always like going for champions. Ant know what I'm talking about, baby. Miami, listen, man. Miami Heat is the team to beat in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. They're the number 1 seed. All right, they were in the finals 2 years ago. It was the bubble, but they were still in the finals. It's basketball. These are professionals. These dudes earn a living to play basketball. The coaches get paid a living to coach the games, man. All right. So all that other extra talk doesn't fly over here. If you ever hear me talk on GOAT James Kingdom, you already know. Don't come with that. Come with real stuff. I want to hear about achievements, stats, and accolades. Miami has that. So Miami wins tonight. Phoenix, I got Phoenix winning tonight, man. I think Chris Paul really, really sees that his chances of winning are really, really, really coming to an end, and he has to do something now. And Chris Paul is nasty, man. Chris Paul is starting to show why he's an all-time great. So, I definitely think that we up 20-9. Let's look at that. I'm not even watching the game. You see that? That's what we doing. Appreciate that, Ant. Appreciate that. See that? Let's go Heat, baby. 305-954 all day, every day. So, the playoffs are starting. As I stated before, the games are on now. The Heat are playing the Sixers. Then you have Phoenix and Dallas later on tonight. And the games are going to be going like that for the next couple of days until Thursday they get off. And then we get back into Friday games. So we'll have 2 games a night, at least for the next week. Great matchups. So everybody enjoy it. It's entertaining, which is why I was brought up. So I got my Heat going into the finals versus Memphis. I think Memphis can still beat the Warriors, because that was a real close game last night. They were a shot away from winning. They were winning the whole game. The Warriors know how to win games, and that's what Memphis is learning. And I think Memphis actually believes they're better than Golden State. So they are going to go out there and ball game 2. And if they can get game 2, watch out for Memphis. They're gonna go on a run. So I got Memphis going all the way to the finals versus the Heat, and that's my pick. I don't care what nobody tell me. Heat wins the championships 2022, Biscayne in June. That's where and when we have our parade in Miami. Straight up, yo. Straight up. So now that I got y'all attention, let's get to the real topic at hand, which is, do white people bathe? Okay. Now, the reason I wanted to bring up this topic is because there was a recent video where a white girl went on there and I'm going to say what she said verbatim, quoted for her. She was like, I am fresh from 3 days ago. I'm fresh showering from 3 days ago. Okay, that was the word. Yeah, I'm fresh from showering 3 days ago. And in the clip, the comedian was making fun of her, saying that nothing that's 3 days old can be considered fresh. And the reason I wanted to bring up this topic is because I've seen several videos about white people and how they bathe or how they do not bathe. And it's something that I've learned in my reading in European history about how they are when it comes to water. But, I don't live with white folks. I don't have white people in my family, so I don't know about bathing like white people. I bathe like Haitian people bathe, which is every day, all the time. And if, anybody from the Caribbean, they put water tanks on top of their roofs so they can have hot water, and that's how they bathe. And, people bathe consistently in the Caribbean and in these cultures. And, bathing is something that existed for thousands of years. It's nothing new. It's not like it's something that popped up in modern history the last couple of 100 years. People have been bathing in Egypt and in Africa and in Asia, China, India. The ancient American Mesoamericans used to bathe all the time. People found ways to bathe. Bathing was something that was done on a consistent basis. In Africa, it was considered a hygienic thing. You bathed all the time. All the high civilizations in Africa had, water duct systems and aqueduct systems, to drain away water and things of that nature. You find all that evidence existed. But when it comes to European, it's a little bit different, because like I always tell people, Europe is a different environment compared to the rest of the world. Okay. When you have rivers as ice, nature is definitely your enemy, and nature has always been the enemy to Europeans. So water has always been something that's been a problem for them. One, because they don't have that much rivers or cities next to rivers like you would think like other cultures had, and they just didn't have the right sanitation and hygienic ways of living in Europe. The first people in Europe to bathe and to actually bathe on a regular basis were the Greeks. And they learned that from the Greeks, who learned that from the ancient world, like the Babylonians and the Mesopotamians and ancient Egypt, and these ancient civilizations who built structures, who built bath houses for people to bathe in. And that's how bathing began. You would bathe in bathhouses where water would come from a source and it would flow through a particular building, and that water would flush out and go out to wherever the river would take it to, which is normally the Mediterranean Sea. So that's how bathing all started. But how did it start for white folks? Let me see. Yep. Thought that they're disgusting. It's what some people say to start the plague. We're gonna get to the plague. We're gonna get to that. It's what people say that started as the plague. Peace was good, Stefan. Yo, all right. So the Greeks began bathing, right? And they took that with bathhouses, and they took that and they spread it throughout that parts of Europe, which eventually got to Rome. Now the Romans took that, and obviously from Roman periods, they spread out their knowledge of bathing and washing themselves and having bathhouses and things of that nature. But what happened was when they went further west into places like, where France exists and Spain and Germany and England and all this other stuff, the people that they met there were not doing these things. They were not bathing on a consistent basis. These people, the Romans treated them very bad. Romans were very, they were just very bad towards those people. So those people had a disdain towards Roman life and Roman culture. So the part of bathhouses and bathing in bathhouses fell with that disdain for Roman people. They didn't like what Romans were doing because the bathhouses were places where people got naked, men and women together. There was no separation. So, a lot of frolicking was going on in these places. You got naked adults running around with one another, washing each other. It's just that way. And if you go back to ancient African temples and ancient African, how can I say this? Sanctuaries, right? Bathing was a major part, and you go to Egypt, they used to bathe people before you was able to walk into the temple. So you had to clean yourself. And a lot of that was done by the women. I told you about how women had so much control. They were the high priestess. So they would bathe people. They would bathe the men, bathe the women, and everybody would be clean, and they would worship and do the things that they were doing in the temples. So all of this is what the Romans copied, but they did it with a Roman flair. So the Europeans didn't like it. They didn't like the lifestyle. They didn't like that. So bathing was automatically a taboo from then. And like Tata just said about the cause of the plague, after the Roman Empire split in the 6th and 7th century, they lost all of their technology and all of their ways of building aqueducts and building sewage and plumbing, because they had plumbing in bathhouses. These things had stopped. And especially in Western Europe. Eastern Europe was still going well, but Western Europe basically got cut off. So that's where you get, like Tata saying here, you get the Black Plague, because all of these things started happening. The hygiene really got bad in Europe. It really, really got bad in Europe. And it wasn't until the Moors came into Europe in the 8th and 9th century that they reintroduced bathing to Europeans, but it was only introduced to Spain and Portugal, and never really reached other parts of Europe. So now you have all of Europe not bathing on a consistent basis. The way they used to wash themselves was they washed their hands, their face, and their feet every day, but they never washed themselves every day. In fact, in Europe, they used to bleach their clothes with urine. That was how one of the famous ways of washing light clothes. They used to use urine. They used to let it soak in urine, because urine has ammonia in it, and that helps clean things. But it obviously it's not hygienic to use urine to clean your clothes. But they did that. That was one of the things that they did. So a lot of the stuff that they did back in those days really wasn't hygienic, man. It really wasn't. And it led to stuff like the Black Plague, which eventually ended up hitting around the 10th century, 11th century, and supposedly like 200 million people died during the Black Plague. And that even multiplied the fear of bathing and taking showers together, because even then, when they were taking showers together, it was in bathhouses. People didn't have their own bathtubs, their own sewage system in their house. There was no indoor plumbing. So they really said that taking showers and going to these bathhouses was spreading the disease and killing more people than possible. So Europeans just said, fuck bathing in general. If you guys don't believe me, go look it up. This is nothing new. This is all a part of history. It was so bad when it came to Europeans and water that the Catholic Church had to sprinkle people with water. You know how when you go to the church now, they put the water over your head or they sprinkle you for your baptism. That was because the people, especially the people in Scandinavia, like Ireland, they refused to be baptized in water. So the only way they would ever get baptized was to just put it over their forehead. That's how they changed it, because they refused to get dipped in the water. That's how much they hated water. There was, stories about how the Irish didn't even drink water. They used to just drink beer all the time. They didn't even like drinking water. But this is all, European history. So when you hear these stories of white people that say, like I heard a story of the white girl telling the guys that she only showers like, perfect example. Before I go to that, Coco, Ice-T's wife, admitted that she only showers like once or twice a week. And when she does, that's what the other white girl was saying, that she washes her hair and they let the soap and the dirt from their hair trickle down and wash off the rest of their body, that they don't even necessarily even soap themselves. You can go through YouTube and social media and see countless videos of white folks admitting how they don't even wash the bottom, like they don't even wash their legs, they don't even do none of that stuff, like they just soap their underarms and their private parts and then that's it. And they, oh my God. But that is the history of white people in water and bathing. They did not like bathing. I mean, it's serious. King Louis, I don't know, one of the King Louis supposedly only had 3 outfits his whole life, okay? And he only bathed supposedly like once a year. Matter of fact, the reason why weddings are considered a summertime event is because in Europe, spring was around the time everyone took a bath. You were told to take a bath one time a year, and you do it in spring. So after spring, summertime came around, it was the best time to get everyone together and have weddings, so that you would be less stink and less thing. That's where you get the veil. The veil is the part of the veil comes from keeping flies and insects away from you in those moments. It started with funerals, where obviously with the dead corpse, and also the people not smelling too well because people didn't shower, people didn't bathe, so they used to use the veil over their hats and stuff like that to keep flies from entering. That's where you get that from, where a wife has a veil, you have to lift her veil at a wedding. It comes from them not bathing and being filthy to the point to where that's the only way to keep flies off of them. Another thing, I mean, Europe, like I said, Europe was like, people don't understand how uncivilized and decrepit Europe was just 100, 200 years ago. Man, just during World War II and World War I, all of Europe was destroyed. Most of Europe was destroyed during the world wars, but they, drastically built Europe back up with funds and finances after the war. So these are the things that white people were going through. They were not hygienic. The Moors went through hell trying to teach white people how to bathe. They didn't want to take showers. They didn't want to jump in water. Water was a taboo for them. Again, nature was cruel to them. They saw the worst things in nature in Europe. They did not appreciate nature. Nature was a very, very malicious thing to them. Water was a part of that. So you got a history of that. There was another queen who wrote down herself that she only took 2 showers her entire life. She took one as a baby and she took one as an adult when she became the queen, and never bathed ever again a day in her life. This is a queen that we're talking about in Europe. So we don't even necessarily have to talk about the peasants. The peasants. You say, if I don't sweat, I ain't taking a shower. Yo, you are one of the most nastiest motherfuckers ever, man. And you gonna literally write that on my goddamn live. What is wrong with you? If you don't sweat, you don't shower. Jesus Christ. Somebody come get this man off my live. Sebastian, what's good? I mean, listen. Listen, I know several white folks and they don't stink, so they don't smell. I've met some white folk that made me question their hygiene. But I've seen some white folks bathe, but are they really bathing every day? Can some white person come to my page and let me know? But again, this is the history. This is what it all started with them. Now, what changed with white people and bathing on a more consistent basis was Americans, and it started with the Civil War. During the Civil War, they realized that when they cleaned off, when the doctors cleaned their hands and they cleaned off their utensils and they washed the wounds and the and dress the wounds cleanly with clean rags and clean to that nature, that the soldiers and the wounds would heal faster. So it became the idea that taking a bath and washing yourself was actually good for you. But prior to that, most Europeans thought water and bathing was bad for you. They wouldn't shower, they wouldn't get in the shower, they won't jump in the water. It was really a thing for them, and it's in their history. It's throughout their history. There's a book called Dirt, and it talks about that in Europe. There's a lot of things about Europe that I couldn't believe that you would read. In fact, I got a book here called The Kings and Queens of Medieval Europe. There was a queen in Europe that used to bathe in virgin blood. Okay, literally bathe in virgin blood. She thought that would keep her younger. She would go out there and have her henchmen round up somebody that was supposedly a virgin, kill them, take their blood, and she would bathe in it. They have countless stories of the hygiene and sanitation problems that Europe had. Just to give you an example to the rest of the world, when they found the Incan and Mayan civilizations during the conquest and the conquistadors coming here to America, the famous Spanish writers and Portuguese writers wrote about all the great civilizations and all the great cities, and talked about how the Native American cities were well civilized and highly advanced, and that they were more populated than Lisbon or London could ever be. And the people were clean. I mean, the Mayans built islands on rivers, so they knew how to, they did a lot of stuff. They had hydraulics. They did a lot of great things. So all over the world, people understood bathing. There's another book that I have here called The Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, and it talks about Jews and their involvement in the slave trade. And these are Jewish accounts of them being involved in the slave trade. And in Jamaica, when they wrote about the maroon communities in Jamaica, the maroon communities in Jamaica is very large. They've been free since the earliest times of colonialism. And they were reports about how they would call them Bushmen, that the Bushmen would bathe about 3 to 4 times a day. They were talking about how those maroon communities were living outside of the slave communities, because obviously that was a problem, dealing with free blacks with enslaved blacks. But they were trying to say how the free blacks were living so freely that they bathed 3 times a day. And they were even talking about how slaves took bathing very, very important. So again, outside of Europe, bathing was always something that was known. In fact, bathing got popular again after the Black Plague, when they went and conquered Muslim lands, and they went to Israel, and they found out how much the Jews and the Muslims were bathing on a consistent basis. And anybody know Muslims, theology, they are serious about cleanliness. They believe in shaving, they believe in bathing. So bathing was always something that people did, but something about Europe and water, and it still exists to this day. I mean, if anybody else know anything else, you can tell me. He said niggas in India are taking shits and baths in the waters. Those are obviously exceptions or things that you talk about. But when you're talking about overall cultural things, right? Because I know in India it's crazy. They're overpopulated. There is a place where they do bathe like that. You are correct on that. There's a place that you would say to yourself, oh my God, that is disgusting. But again, that's not a part of their culture. That's just them surviving from modern times. They're just dealing with that. Indian culture, the Indus Valley civilization dates back to 4000 BC. Go get a book and read, or go to YouTube like you always like to do. Go to YouTube and read, or watch a YouTube video about it. They were very highly civilized people. They had bathhouses, aqueducts, sewage systems, plumbing. Europe was bad, man. Matter of fact, anybody who smokes and you buy a Dutch Master, okay, Dutch Master cigars, if you look on the picture of the Dutch Masters, those are what they call the Dutch people from Amsterdam and a part of Europe. They wore those big brim hats, like the pilgrim hats. You know why they used to wear those? They wore those not because there's sun in Europe. They're not blocking themselves from the sun. There's no sun in Europe, all right? They were doing that because people in Europe didn't have indoor plumbing or any kind of plumbing system or sewage system. So people literally used to throw their buckets of shit right out the fucking window into the streets. So if you was walking in the streets, you might have somebody dump their shit on top of you. In fact, it was so bad in Europe, there was a year in Europe called the year of stink. I think it was 1858, and they had to shut down London for a day because it was so stink, because the river that was used to to drop off what they call cesspools, which is what they started doing. They started creating cesspools in basement, which was basically pipes that dropped the shit into a big pool. They would empty it out into a river, and it got so over flooded that it stank up London for a whole entire year. It was called the stink year. Go look it up. 1858 in London, Europe. Again, it's not that long ago. It's not that long ago. That is the history of Europeans and water and bathing. They literally used to throw their shit out the window, and people wore big hats to catch it so it didn't fall all over you, because obviously you didn't have that much clothes neither, and you didn't wash your clothes on a consistent basis. You didn't, you know what I'm saying? These were things that they just didn't do. It's European history, bro. It's hard to talk about, but it's funny to me because, you know, white people always talk shit about us. The land change and the access to the water is different now. Yeah, everything is different now. Obviously, there are white people who take showers now. I'm not saying white people don't bathe. I'm just saying it's just something that's gone viral. There's a bunch of white people on the internet telling people how they don't take showers. In fact, it's a funny joke that, you know, supposedly white folks don't use wash rags. That was something that was introduced to them. They got introduced to soap and wash rags by the Moors. Okay, these were black Muslims entering into Europe in the 8th and 7th century, and basically was like, yo, y'all got to take showers. The first castles were built because of the Moors. The Moors showed them how to build castles. They didn't know nothing about masonry and bricking and none of that stuff. The first castles in the world are in Ethiopia. If anybody don't know that, go look in your histories. Go look in your history books. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff about Europe people don't really want to admit, and that was what was going on in Europe. That wasn't what was going on in the world. The Black Plague was in Europe. The Black Plague didn't happen in Africa. It didn't happen in North America, because these people used to take showers and bathe. They used to shower all the time. It was common sense to wash yourself on a daily basis. Shaving, all of that stuff was things that people did to try to keep themselves clean. So, you know, oh my God. Jamie, you done started some shit, man. Go wash your ass. Get off my damn live and go wash your ass. So, you know, that's the history of white people and bathing. And if any one of my white friends see this, I hope you do wash yourself thoroughly with soap and not just shampooing. And you know, if you don't use a wash rag, you don't necessarily have to use a wash rag, but at least you use a soap. And you have to bathe at least twice a day. At least twice a day. You should be bathing when you wake up, and you should be bathing before you go to bed, especially if you go outside. Black folks have this famous thing where it goes, you smell like outside. Oh, another thing about European and their hygiene, that's why we get perfume. You know why women wear perfume on their hands and on their neck? That's what they do. It's because that was the only part of the body that you could smell beyond the clothes. So they wanted to make sure they didn't smell funky. Because obviously they wasn't fucking showering. They wasn't taking baths. They were some nasty fucks. Yo, Tata, please, man, get this man in the shower, yo. Anyways, folks, I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you again for joining me. It's another beautiful Monday night, and I thank you for joining me and taking your time. You guys have a beautiful Monday. Enjoy the games tonight. The Heat versus the Sixers is going on. Stay blessed, stay beautiful. This was another great show. Speaking with Ajani Bakari Talk Show. I'm your host, Ajani Bakari. I'll see you guys next Monday. Stay blessed and stay beautiful. You a nasty fuck, Jay. God damn.